Survival. New episodes of Defying Death, Heroes and Survivors, Sunday nights at 9, here on the Weather Channel.
Get in for lunch now at Olive Garden with lunch duos starting at $6.99. Choose a favorite like lasagna or all new pasta bowls like shrimp scampi paired with unlimited soup or salad and breadsticks. Get never-ending value for lunch at Olive Garden.
Now you can make any morning of the week feel like the weekend with Jimmy Dean Simple Scrambles. Made fresh with 2 real eggs, sausage, and cheese. And ready in seconds.
Why don't you put a Sunday morning shine on tomorrow morning's breakfast?
Currently in our area, 80 degrees under sunny skies. Tonight, mainly clear, low 65. Winds south-southwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Friday, intervals of clouds and sunshine. A stray shower or thunderstorm is possible. High 88. Friday night, mainly clear skies. Low 66. Winds north-northwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Here's our 7-day outlook.
Tropical storm Barry is strengthening, getting better organized over the northern Gulf of Mexico. It's still tapping into that really warm water of the Gulf of Mexico and not moving very much. Here are the latest numbers from the intermediate public advisory from 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 Central. The maximum sustained winds increased 5 miles an hour from earlier up to 45. The pressure down to 1,001. And the number that I like the least, west at only 3 miles per hour. And as Mark and I were talking about earlier, that's a generous 3, because really in the last few hours has not been moving very much at all. It's expected to resume that westward motion shortly. Eventually it will move, but it's just never going to be a fast mover, and that is all bad because it gives it more time over the warm waters of the Gulf to strengthen, and it lengthens the duration of the heavy rainfall event, and that's going to pose a very significant life-threatening flash flood situation. We've had hurricane hunters out there all evening, and they've been giving us a pretty good idea of what's going on inside the circulation here, such as it is. It is still a developing tropical storm. It's still got some disorganization to it, but it's been getting its act together a little bit. Had the NOAA plane and the Air Force plane. The NOAA plane has been out there for a few hours, and it has done an alpha pattern and is now in the northeastern quadrant. The Air Force plane has gone northeast to southwest. Now they're in that southern strongest part of the circulation, we think, and we'll see if that prompts the Hurricane Center, based on any data there, to increase the winds a little more at 11 p.m. Let's skip ahead here and go to the cone and show you what it tells you and what it doesn't tell you, okay? This does tell us that there's going to be a slow turn to the right, and that is going to put a lot of folks on the really nasty long duration, wet side, rainy side of this system. It's forecast to reach hurricane strength just as it's getting to the coastline. That may or may not happen, but that's what is forecast. And when you compare that forecast to the rainfall predictions from the models, you can see that the European model that goes down the middle has a lot of rain in the middle and the right-hand side of the cone, including outside of the cone. The GFS, the track's farther right, so the rainfall's farther right. Bottom line, we don't know exactly who's going to get the worst of the rainfall, and there are so many possible tracks based on the European ensembles, these alternative scenarios, that a lot of people are at risk. And it is vital that you understand that flooding is going to be life-threatening likely tomorrow, and then the big day, unfortunately, would be Saturday when we have a high risk in Baton Rouge and New Orleans, Mark.
Yeah, so we keep stressing, Dr. Knapp, that flooding is far and away the biggest risk that will impact the most amount of people, but it's not the only risk. We've said that wind may be kind of lowest on the list, but it's also not zero. So let's talk a little bit about that wind component. There are indeed hurricane warnings where someone in this purple zone could have hurricane conditions as that storm, the center of Barry, comes on shore. I think many more of you are going to see tropical storm force winds. In fact, the percentage chances of seeing hurricane force winds at any one point within this area is reasonably low. 5 to even 10%, just about the highest it goes. However, we are talking about at least that chance of hurricane force winds. The tropical storm force winds go a little bit further towards the north. And now they do include the New Orleans area, for example, with that tropical storm force wind threat. And we will continue to follow that much further inland. There's going to be an inland wind threat with this also, which also means power outage potential. So again, here's that low chance of hurricane force winds at any given point, but the tropical storm force winds are much more likely, and that's why we have tropical storm force winds that are in the warnings that are a little bit further inland and a little bit more spread out in aerial extent. Let's talk a little bit more about how everyone's getting ready. Louisiana continues to prepare for Tropical Storm Barry. The Department of Transportation crews were out and about, clearing out the culverts, scooping out mud into the dump trucks as well. And so that way, when all that rain does come down, it has an easier time leaving, and that's really the ideal scenario. We want as much of that water as possible to go into the storm drains and leave. That said, Dr. Knapp, I think there's a limit as to how much a storm drain is going to be able to take on, considering how wet the soils are and how much rain there has been.
A lot of communities will probably be overwhelmed by the heavy rainfall and the flooding. That's why it's a stay off the roads and shelter in place if you're not in storm surge zone being told to evacuate, and then be ready to call 911 if you're trapped in your home. I mean, that's the situation we're facing. That's how serious this is.
Assuming that there is flooding on the way, what should people do now when there's still the luxury of time, when we're still on that drier north side? People can go to the store tonight or tomorrow morning.
Yeah. Well, considering the wind threat that you just talked about and the possibility of power outages, you could be isolated by flooding in a location that's without power. So be thinking, for example, out of the box a little bit here on the supplies list that you might go shopping for tonight, because yes, the weather's going to go downhill in Louisiana tomorrow. Be thinking about things that you need, considering how reliant we are on technology. For power loss, if you don't have a generator yet and you have the resources to get one tonight and operate it outdoors away from windows, please. Get a stash of cash, go to the ATM, because they might be down, and then you can't use your credit card when the power is out. You're going to need cash to buy things in the aftermath of the storm. Get gas tonight, because when the power is out, the gas stations aren't working. Back up your computers off-site, and get solar-powered USB chargers. Those phones are critical afterwards, but you're not going to be able to charge them in the outlet if the power's out.
The solar power is a great idea, though. The sun comes out eventually after that rain ends.
That's right.
Our continuing coverage will be up next. Paul Goodwill live in New Orleans. We got storm specialist Carl Parker, as well as Ray Stajic, and Cinco is here as well.